Moving now to the dramatic developments in the Times Square terror plot. Forget everything that you've heard about the bomber being a lone wolf. Top White House officials are now claiming they have important new evidence linking Faisal Shahzad to the Pakistani Taliban. Here's Attorney General Eric Holder.
I can say that the evidence that we've now developed shows that the Pakistani Taliban has directed this plot. We know that they helped facilitate it. We know that they helped direct it. And I suspect that we are going to come up with evidence that shows they helped to finance it. They were intimately involved in this plot.
You know how angry so many Americans got when they heard that after initial questioning, Shahzad was read his Miranda warnings about his right to remain silent and have an attorney present. Well, today, in a move that I think is extremely significant, the Attorney General pledged to work with Congress to broaden the so-called public safety exception to the Miranda rule. It's better known as the ticking time bomb rule, and it allows cops to question a suspect immediately without first Mirandizing him if, under very limited circumstances, an imminent threat to public safety, like a ticking time bomb, is suspected. I have three terrific guests joining me now to talk about this dramatic development. They are former Attorney General Alberto Gonzales. That's the general on the lower right. Former New York Police Commissioner Bernard Kerick on the upper right, and ranking member of the House Homeland Security Committee Peter King, Congressman King, on the lower left. Congressman King, you first. Sounds like a good idea, does it not, to broaden this public safety exemption or exception and allow cops to question suspects immediately about what else they know about what can immediately harm the public?
Yeah, Geraldo, this is long overdue. And I think we have to give a broad definition, too, of immediate, because when you're talking about capturing someone who's part of al-Qaeda or the Taliban, they could have knowledge of a number of plots, a number of co-conspirators, a number of facilitators, a number of financiers. So I would make sure we don't just limit this to several hours. This may have to go on for several days, because it's not so much we're trying to get something on that terrorist himself. It's probably enough on him to begin with. But, there's so many consequences to this, and the enemy is coming at us in so many directions, and it's very difficult to get intelligence on these groups. We really have to take maximum advantage of this. So I would say that the public safety exception has to be broadened to include national security and be done in an expansive way rather than a limited way.
General Gonzales, will it be constitutional?
I think it can be done in a way that's constitutional, Geraldo. I think that people need to understand that when you're fighting this kind of war, obviously we want to bring terrorists to justice. That's very important. But the first priority is getting information. And to the extent that Congress can give additional tools to those in law enforcement, that will be extremely important because, again, in order to be successful in discovering plots, in thwarting plots in the future, information is critical. And to the extent that Congress can give the Justice Department and law enforcement additional tools, I think that would be very, very helpful.
Would it help solve this the dilemma whether you try them in a military tribunal versus a civilian court, General?
Not necessarily, Geraldo. Again, every case is going to be different, depending on the circumstances, depending on the evidence. Where are the witnesses? What U.S. secrets may have to be compromised? U.S. operations may have to be compromised. Are we going to compromise the cooperation of a friendly country who's helped us provide information to help us identify someone who is a potential terrorist? And so every case has to be examined on its own merits. Some cases, the United States may make a determination, yes, this is an appropriate case for a criminal prosecution. Other cases we may decide no, depending on the circumstances. Again, it may be more appropriate to try them in a military commission. And, of course, finally, if you're talking about an enemy combatant, there is no requirement that we bring them to justice in a criminal court or in a military commission. Under the laws of war, the United States can detain someone indefinitely, even if they're an American citizen, when they've been determined to be an enemy combatant.
General Gonzales, got to move on. I want to thank you and ask Congressman King and Bernard Kerick to stand by. We'll be right back. We're talking about the gross injustice done to a 9/11 hero, former New York Police Commissioner Bernard Kerick, by an activist federal judge here in New York State. On this Mother's Day, our friend Peter King, Congressman King, joined by his better half, Rosemary, that's in the lower quadrant, and Hala, Mrs. Kerick, has joined her husband and Al and Caroline Manzo in the top quadrant. But let me start with you, Rosemary, on Mother's Day. I know that Commissioner Kerick has impacted your life. Why don't you tell us how?
Sure. On the morning of 9/11, I was sitting on an airplane on the runway at LaGuardia Airport when we were informed that New York was under attack. And I quickly came home, and when I did get home, turned on the television and stayed glued to it for days later. And on the television was Mayor Giuliani and Police Commissioner Bernie Kerick. And they got me through those long, hard, difficult days. They told me I'd be okay, that we'd be okay, that just like Bernie said, talking about his daughters, we'd get through this together. And I trusted him, and he did get me through those days. And I never knew him before then, and I came to admire him, and I trust him, and he's a good man.
Congressman King, I mean, are you as outraged as I am by what's happening to this man?
Geraldo, this is an absolute disgrace. And there's such a hypocrisy here with the media and with the elite. I mean, if Bernie Kerick were more politically correct, or if Bernie Kerick didn't come from such a rough upbringing, and he, was asked to be a cabinet official, we'd have editorials all over the country denouncing. What happened is Bernie Kerick got too big for people who don't go for his type of person, a tough guy, an honest guy, a guy who fights for the people. But he didn't come from the socially elite crowd, and he doesn't back down to anyone. As a result of that, what's done to him, the injustice by the government, the injustice by the judge, if there was any fairness at all in this matter, Bernie Kerick should be getting medals. And whatever he did, all of us make mistakes. I went to Catholic school. There's such a thing as original sin. No one is perfect. But I tell you, Bernie Kerick is a hell of a lot more perfect than all these people that are taking shots at him. That I can guarantee.
And Caroline, how is Hala faring?
Talk about courage under fire. I've never seen anyone with the courage and the grace and the dignity that Hala does throughout all of this. She has had to endure so much with the media and just the public. It's like sharks in the water and they smell blood, and it's just like a feeding frenzy. Always dignity, grace, and her focus has always been on her children, her husband, and a strength that I look at with awe. She's an amazing, amazing woman.
And I don't know if Hala has a microphone, but it's Mother's Day, honey. You're a great mother. We wish you courage and strength. And now we're going to stick by her, aren't we? We're going to stick by this family?
You know what? Her friends and family will not leave them, and we will be here for the long haul. And when he comes out, there's going to be a hell of a party. Bernie, courage.
And Bernie's going to come back stronger than ever.
He is, Congressman. Thank you for your support. I could give you a list of all the people that are backing this man, ladies and gentlemen. When you talk about a judge that was out of control, recklessly out of control, hopefully the appellate court in the Second Circuit here in New York will see this injustice and reduce this sentence, which was awful to begin with, and he made it even worse. Bernie, you have our love. All you mothers, happy Mother's Day. Erica, happy Mother's Day. Grandma Lil in Sarasota, we love you. Thanks for watching, everybody.